Welcome back to The Curious Page, the podcast where we dive deep into stories that stay with you long after you've closed the book. I'm your host, Grace Han. Today, we're talking about Fiend by Alma Katsu, an author best known for her eerie blend of history, horror, and the supernatural. I also get a sense that some of these characters are inspired by members of her own family. First of all, a shout out to the designer of this book cover. It is beautiful, creepy, colorful, and on theme. Great job. So how does Fiend hold up? Let's break it down. So here's a plot summary. The story centers on the Berisha family, an enormously wealthy and powerful import-export dynasty with roots in Albania, but operating on the global stage. Patriarch Zev Berisha has always claimed that the family's unprecedented success, the kind of fortune built over generations, is protected by a mysterious force, a protector or blessing that ensures their rivals suffer misfortunes, fires, disasters, accidents, so on and so forth. While the Berishas themselves almost always come on top. Now there are three siblings: Darden, the eldest son and chosen heir; Maris, the fierce middle child who shaves under expectation placed on her; and Nora, the youngest, more idealistic, who hopes the family's power might be used for something good. Each have their own role in the family scheme. Darden is aware of the supernatural aspects in a more visceral way, having witnessed odd, terrible phenomena in his childhood. As the narrative moves between past and present, cracks start appearing. The blessing begins to look more like a curse. Events that used to be dismissed or hidden become dangerous. The siblings' ambitions and resentments grow sharper as they try to figure out where they stand with each other and with the family legacy. At the same time, external threats emerge. For example, someone who used to be involved in the Berisha political lobbying endeavors threatened to expose their wrongdoings, but then dies under mysterious circumstances. Darden suspects the supernatural protector may have had a hand in that. The protective myth and the reality of it collide. Tension escalates both internally and externally. The horror lies not just in the supernatural, but in the way power corrupts, how secrets are kept, and how it's meant to protect can suffocate. Okay, so we're going to talk about the pros of this novel. First off, I think the writer knows how to build the atmosphere. If you read her before, you know she's a master of slow burn horror that kind of creeps under your skin rather than jumping out with cheap scares. The writing is vivid, immersive, and unsettling in just the right way. Another strength is her character. Now, she doesn't just create, victims or villains. She gives you flawed, layered people. Their personal struggles mirror the horror unfolding around them. So the supernatural feel like an extension of human weakness and fear. And finally, the pacing. Once the book sinks its claws into it, it's incredibly hard to put down. There's a steady escalation of dread that pays off with moments that are both shocking and thought-provoking. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the cons. That said, this book isn't for everyone. The writer's style leans heavily on atmosphere and psychology, which means readers looking for fast-paced, action-heavy horror might feel it drags in places. And the prose can also feel dense at times. If you're not in the mood for layered description and character-driven storytelling, it may not test your patience, so to speak. And while the ending ties the theme together, some readers might wish for more clarity or solution, because this novel does leave you with lingering questions, which really isn't everyone's cup of tea. And now we're going to talk about the uniqueness. What makes Fiend stand out is the way it merges horror with deep human emotion. It isn't just about monsters or fears for the sake of fear. It's about how darkness, both external and internal, shapes the choices we make. Few horror writers today weave in that level of psychological and emotional resonance. It also has Alma Katsu's signature historical mythological influences, giving the story a sense of weight and timelessness that goes beyond the usual horror fare. So here's the final verdict. How does Fiend score? For me, it's a solid 8 out of 10. It's haunting, it's intelligent, it stays with you. but it's not the kind of horror novel you breeze through. You have to be willing to sink into the mood and let it take you on its dark, winding journey. So that's it for today's review of Fiend by Alma Katsu. If you read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did it creep you out as much as it did me? Make sure to subscribe for more reviews of the books that keep us turning pages late into the night.